this is Lina Rodriguez Salamanca, your diagnostician with the Planet Insect Diagnostic Clinic. Today, let's focus on resources to manage vegetable diseases and insects. So when we talk about disease and insect management, we talk about integrated pest management. And this would be creating a strategy in which you use multiple tactics that are available to you to minimize the risks of insect and diseases affecting your bottom line. Some things that you can do before problems arrived is to make sure that you avoid the pathogen, that you exclude pathogens or pests, and then you can plant resistant varieties when you need them. Now, once you have a problem, you could use fungicide or insecticide sprays, focus on managing an insect vector that may be spreading a pathogen, or implement certain crop rotation that will minimize the risk of some problems. So many tactics that you can have in place to prevent the risk of insects and diseases. One really good tool that you have available is the Midwest Vegetable Production Guide for commercial growers. This is a guide that is updated every year. It's a collaboration of 13 different state universities in extension. And you can find this at mwbeckguide.org, or you can order a paper copy here in that Iowa State University store at store.extension@iastate.edu/product1774. And that link never changes, even though the guide gets updated every year. The guide has a lot of great information by crop and by diseases and insects that will attack that particular crop. So check it out. For example, this table on the summary of cultural management strategies for diseases is really great. It will give you key diseases and what are the tactics that can help you out when you face that problem. An example that I have today is pumpkin powdery mildew. This is a disease that occurs year after year for those that grow pumpkins in the field. Powdery mildew is a fungal pathogen, and when the disease starts, there may be that small colonies of this pathogen, like little spots of white fuzzy look, may start on the stem or the petioles of the leaves, and then on the underside of the leaf, and progressively this will move into the top of the leaves. With the correct humidity and weather, this pathogen will take a lot of advantage of the plant, and it will reach a point that will cause defoliation. And when we have the foliation, what would happen is that ultimately the pumpkin fruit will not be protected from sun scald. And of course, if you don't have a lot of leaves growing, then also the size of your pumpkins is going to be affected. So how do we manage powdery mildew? Is a combination of sanitation and good resistant varieties in combination with the right schedule of fungicides. So for powdery mildew, we have various fungicides that were usually on the list of really good, efficacious products. And here I have a table with some of them. And you will see that they have different FRAC or Fungicide Resistant Action Committee groups. And they will also have different risks of resistance. And so what this means is that a particular active ingredient is going to go into a step on a function in the pathogen. For example, the fungicides that are known as strobilurins prevent mitochondrial respiration. So any fungicide that belongs to the FRAC group 11, what it's doing is really messing up with the respiration of the pathogen, suffocating the pathogen. And so now there is a lot of this type of fungicides that will pinpoint a particular metabolic pathway, one step on that pathway in the fungal cell. And what that means is that we end up with a single site mode of action, and those become problematic. They are very, very good products, and they have excellent ratings when it comes to managing and protecting new tissues from disease, as long as they're used wisely. Because since we're hitting the same spot on the metabolic pathway, what would happen is that the population of the pathogen starts changing. And in time, there will be a reduction in sensitivity of the fungus or bacteria to a particular product, which results in the fungicide being less effective. So there will be a shift on the population of the pathogen. So this risk of fungicide resistance developing in the pathogen population would depend on the genetic diversity of the pathogen, the number of cycles that this pathogen is able to produce per season, which is normally pretty abundant, how abundant the spores of the cells are produced. It will also depend on the fungicide, the particular mode of action. Fungicide resistance is more important on those fungicides that are single site specific as opposed to the multi-site ones like the protectant ones. And every frag code or every type of number that I'm referring to has an inherent risk of resistance, but it also will depend on the number of sprays that you will be having in that particular field, meaning the selection pressure that you are putting on that particular pathogen that is present on the crop. So that frag code, normally that group that identified the mode of action, and if it is a single site or a multi-site fungicide, is in the label of the fungicide. Now, the fungicide world is very different these days. Used to be that you can think of fungicides as preventative and curative, but now there's a lot more fungicides in the market, and they are changing trade names, and sometimes ingredients stay the same with different rates, or there are products that are repacked and may have combinations of mode of actions. So I'm bringing this up because now the Midwest Vegetable Production Guide for commercial growers has a couple tools online that you can use as you are making decisions on, number one, what sprays are you going to be using, and number two, on what sequence. So in a way that you can plan to minimize the risk of pathogen fungicide resistance by planning your sprays in the following way. You visit the MidwestVegetableGuide.org. Once you're there, you will see that the Midwest Vegetable Production Guide, you can download the whole PDF, or you can go by crop if you're interested on a particular one. If you want to download the whole PDF, you'll have the full book. If you want to order a copy of the book, you can go to the extension store to order a copy. But the most interesting part now is that there is a tool that now you can use on that vegetable production guide. So you would go again to the mwvegguide.org and start by either selecting your crop, your pest, or your control measure. So we're talking about pumpkin, so we're going to go ahead and look at pumpkin. You select next. And then here, as you choose a pest, you could select specific ones. You could do various pests at the same time, or just select one that you're interested on. In this case, powdery mildew of cucurbits. And this time, the database is going to give you a couple things. Pest information. It'll tell you what is the host range right here. And what are the conditions that this pathogen thrives on? In this case, it does not require wetness for disease initiation or spread. It will tell you that there are some pumpkin varieties that have partial resistance to powdery mildew, and it will warn you that there are fungicide resistance that has been detected in the Midwest, and it will tell you what are those particular frag codes. In this case, group 1 and 11 may not be effective if you have a resistant population of the pathogen in the field. And here you would also have winter and off-season tactics that you could try, and it will give you recommendations also for buying touch. You have a nice summary of what are your control options in terms of the pathogen and crop that you're growing, and then a quick look of the pesticides that are a tool for managing this particular pathogen. So when you scroll down, you will see a pesticide. You will have the name of that particular fungicide, the trade name. And then you can see in here that, for example, Aprobia Top is made out of 2 active ingredients, benzobindifluopyrate and difenoconazole. And then if you follow these dotted lines, you will learn that that is FRAC 7, while difenoconazole is FRAC 3, meaning the Aprobia Top is a combo of 2 FRAC codes, 7 plus 3. It will give you also the information on the application rate, the re-entry interval, the pre-harvest interval, and the signal word. You could also learn more. And here, especially important if you want to learn about bee precaution ranks in here. And for example, the difenoconazole has a precaution that says do not apply or allow to drift to plants that are flowering or water puddles, except when application is made between sunset and midnight, if allowed by the pesticide labels and regulation. So as you can see here, this tool is not meant for you to avoid reading the label. It's gonna be helping you out as you are looking in your shed on what products you have handy and in what sequence you should be thinking about spraying on the schedule. Because you want to make sure that you know, keep an eye on FRAC codes 11 and 1 that are the ones at high risk of resistance. And then you will have many tools that you can rotate. So you can start with a FRAC 3, followed by FRAC 13, then FRAC 50, and so on and so forth. This tool is just a different visualization option that you have to make sure that you are managing the resistant risks that you are exposing that population of the pathogen to, and making sure that you're keeping those very effective fungicide tools for a longer period of time and in your toolbox. So you can export that particular set of ingredients by scrolling all the way down and say export as PDF. Once you have exported as a PDF, what you would have is those particular products in that page will populate, and then you'll have all their information, as you can see in here. But keep in mind that, and this is very important, this printout will tell you when you exported. So make sure that you're using the most up-to-date recommendation, that you're only printing when you're going to be getting ready to spray, and then you're checking the website and the book or the PDF online to make sure that the recommendations have been updated. To learn more about the Midwest Vegetable Production Guide, go to mwbeckguide.org. The decision tool is brought to you by the North Central IPM Center. These are all the resources I have to share. Thanks for watching.